Thank you very much, Reggie. And welcome everybody. My name is Sam Hirsch and I'm with CommPartners. I do have my colleague Julie on the line as well. So as you answer questions, as you ask questions, she will be able to answer them in real time, and any we don't get to, I'm sure I'll be able to handle at the end. But what I'm going to do today is just spend a couple minutes telling you a little bit about CommPartners. And then I'm going to really dive into the demo. I'm going to try and make this high level. And then as you have questions, please put them in the chat. So a little bit about our company. We've been around 27 years now. We are almost exclusively focused on the association market. I would say about 99% of our clients using our learning management system, which is called Elevate, are associations. And, well, why do you care? Well, ultimately, one of the most important things is we integrate with pretty much every AMS out there. I don't think there's an AMS we haven't integrated with yet. And that means single sign-on. That means having purchasing out of the AMS and passing that information over to the LMS. And finally, that means getting data back from the LMS to the AMS. And then I do briefly want to mention, I know we are focused on LMS today, but I do briefly want to mention that we do have some other lines of business that often complement our LMS. So we do things like live streaming events, virtual conferences, managing webinars and webcasts and content recordings. And then, like I said, we mostly work with associations, and here's kind of just a list of some of the organizations we work with. So with that, let me pop over to a live demo. So what I mostly am going to focus on today is the user experience. So I'm going to start with, how does your user, get to this LMS thing in the first place, this Elevate LMS? Once they're there, how do they find the courses that are, relevant to them, that they're interested in? Then after that, I will talk about how they look at, transcript for any of you who give continuing education credit. I'll take us through some sample courses and then a couple other neat things, and then that should wrap up our time today. So this is one of our clients, Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine, and this is their website. So not the LMS, this is their website. And from just a branding design and feel standpoint, take a look at what their site looks like. So you can see this nice font here, this nice little ribbon, the button scheme, all the way down to the footer. And from their website, I'm going to navigate over to what they happen to call e-learning. And now I've actually left their website and I'm in our Elevate LMS. So from just a pure design standpoint, we can make ours look just like your website or any other styling you have in mind. We get as granular as the CSS. So what that does is it gives a really seamless experience for your users, consistent branding. And you'll see, it's not just the top here. We're not iframing it in or anything. You'll see it's completely carried through to the font, this nice little ribbon thing. The button scheme is similar, all the way down to the footer. Now, as I scroll down here, this would be how your end users search the LMS to find courses that are relevant to them. So how do you set that up? Well, we are a very dynamic system. So there's a lot of customization that is all under our admins, our clients' control. We don't need to do it for them. So in this particular example, and this is all public facing, I'm not showing you any behind the scenes, that you could go to this site right now and see the same thing. You'll see that this particular client is showing, do I want to find a webinar, upcoming or on demand, podcasts, upcoming live webinars. Obviously pre-COVID, there used to be in-person courses here, and then a recommended for you engine. But this is really just one example, and our system provides a lot of flexibility. So I'll show you a couple other examples and then move on. This is the Catholic Health Association. I like to show theirs because they're really simple. They literally have 3 courses. And for, I'm sure some of you, right, if you don't have an LMS now, you may be starting off with just a handful of webinars or courses, but where will you be 3 to 5 years from now, right? And so instead of just having, 1 or 2 pages where it's a long list of courses, our system allows, a lot of customization where you can kind of batch it. So this is the Michigan Chamber of Commerce. And so you'll see they're kind of separating it by, what is it? Webinars, courses, seminars. We've got ACOI, excuse me. And they're showing kind of like CME. So for any of you medical organizations, CME courses. And then they've got some kind of different categories I can go to. And then one final one, the American Society of Addiction Medicine. And they've got tons of content, at least 500 courses, if not more. And so, right, as an end user, you want to make sure they can find what they're looking for very quickly. So they've got a quick explore by topic here. You know, we obviously can support a full site search, but sometimes, right, you might type in something and, you know, it's like Google. You get 100 results and that's not really helping you out. So then they kind of also provide these different paths. You know, was this a recorded event? You know, is it a program, a webinar and journal article, certifications? Or, you know, do I want to go deeper? Do I want to browse by, say, format, experience, price, credit type? So, for example, I'll click on experience. And then in this particular example, they're kind of funneling me down this different path, right? Do I want an introductory course, an intermediate course, advanced, etc.? So let me move on here. Again, I won't dive into this today because this could be a whole other separate conversation. I'm going to go to my demo site already logged in, but we do have full integrations with pretty much every AMS out there. If you feel like dropping it in the Q&A just to check, you know, Julie can confirm that we have integrated with it before. So I'm going to go to my dashboard. Every user is going to get their own dashboard where they can see every course they've ever taken. We do also have, you know, you can use your AMS's shopping cart, but we do have our own shopping cart as well. That's all included. And so we have some nice features. You'll see here's a course, and there's this nice little resend receipt button here. So if I lose my receipt, I don't have to come bother you, right? I can click this resend receipt button. It's all filterable to look at my courses. But then more importantly, I could almost guarantee that many of you are going to be giving out continuing education credits. So here is my transcript where I can see all the different continuing education that I've earned. Now, if you are an organization that offers multiple types of CE, so maybe you offer CME, CNE for nurses, CE, we can track as many different ones as you offer. So in this example, you know, this student has earned CE, points, and CME. Now I can easily view or print my certificate again. I can filter this by date, by credit type, or download this as a PDF. One other interesting feature we have is you'll notice there's this add additional credits button here. So perhaps, you know, your learners love the way this transcript works and they earn CE from one of your competitors. Well, what they can do is they can put in that information, your title, where they earned it, how many credits, even upload a certificate from, you know, let's say they earned it from, you know, competitor association A, and then it'll show under external credits and achievements earned. So the nice thing for your learners this gives them one place to put everything. Now, the nice thing for you as an association is twofold. Number one, you know, they're coming back to your LMS to upload their own CE. So that gives them other opportunities, right, to maybe find courses that you are also selling or sharing, etc. But also on top of that, which I think is even cooler, you can actually pull reports on that. So you can see, you know, hey, for some reason, you know, 20% of our members are taking this course from our competitor. Is this something we should also build as a, you know, competitor course and push out to our members? So there's some interesting things you can do there. And of course, you can turn this off as well. And then I did mention this earlier, but this is typically another question is, can we get this data back to our AMS? Some people have their AMS as kind of the database of record for CE, and the answer is absolutely yes. This information can go back. We have really 300 different fields that can go back to your AMS as granular as, you know, what was the quiz question, what was their answer. I would say most people don't, or almost nobody needs that granular. Typically, though, you want to get back, you know, what courses has someone started and finished and how much CE did they earn? And even sometimes, you know, did they pass or fail a test or exam, for example? And that's all possible. So let's go over to the catalog here. And we'll click on this course. So here is the title of a course. It's a super interesting one, I know. This actually happens to include a live event, so a live webinar today at 10:40 a.m. So we're running about a minute late. It's no big deal. And then here is where I would read the information about what is this course about. Now, this is a WYSIWYG editor, so this is where you as an admin would put in information, and you can put in pictures, charts, tables, doesn't matter. And then you'll also notice there's these different tabs I could click on here. So for example, if you want to show the speakers of a webinar, for example, or a course or instructors. Now, all these tabs are customizable. So if you want to call this authors, if you wanted to get rid of it, you could do that. You know, I added in a custom sponsors one. Maybe you have sponsors on some of your, you know, courses or webinars. It's completely up to you how you control that. And then one final thing is, if you do want to use our e-commerce, you'll notice right now I'm logged in as a member, so this happens to be free. You can obviously charge members, but I'm going to come in here as a non-member very quickly. And so you'll see we're charging a differentiated price based upon member type. And so you can have as many different member or user types as you would like. We've even got one client who I think has over 100. And on top of that, you can hide courses based upon user type. So maybe you've got a members only course and you don't want non-members to even see it, or perhaps you want them to see it but not be able to register. That is all possible. So I will go ahead and register for this. Now, because this webinar has actually already begun a couple minutes ago, the system knows that, and it knows to kind of pop open this little modal that's giving me this custom message that you control this live event is in progress, enter live event in progress. Now, this popped up right away because, you know, the webinar is about to begin. Most of your users are purchasing it a couple weeks ahead of time. So our system will automatically email out email reminders where they can add it to their calendar. You can also set what those reminders say and the cadence of them. But whenever they're ready, they come back to this page and this opens up and then they click this button. And what's gonna happen when I click that button is I'm gonna leave the LMS and go into the webinar platform. Now, we have our own webinar platform. Typically though, only clients who use us for our managed webinar services are using that. We also integrate and work with pretty much every webinar platform. The most common ones we integrate with are GoToWebinar and Zoom Webinar. And with those, you actually can set them up in the backend of our system and they push the information that a webinar has been created to those platforms, to Zoom Webinar and GoToWebinar. And then on top of that, we have a single sign-on with them. So people's names will automatically be pulled through into Zoom Webinar or GoToWebinar. So let's say I've watched this wonderful webinar, I finished it. Now I'm back in the LMS. And you'll see in this case, we have a bit of a learning path. So you can set up any type of learning path you would like. There's no kind of predefined way to do it. You can have it so some things are open, meaning, you know, I could take a survey at any point, but I have to do something before I get to the certificate. It's completely up to you. So right here, you'll see something called a verification code. Some of our clients use this where they'll actually announce a code during a live webinar. And so people were not paying attention during the live webinar. You can see until I enter that in, I cannot move on to the next step. I'll go ahead and submit that here. We do have testing and quizzing capabilities. I won't bore you with too much of the details here. Just know it's very robust. You can set thresholds to pass, lots of different question types. You can do categories to questions, competency tests, a whole lot of stuff there. You can do surveys as well, which I'm assuming most of you would want to do. Full reporting on all of this. And then finally, if you do want to give some sort of certificate of achievement, you can absolutely do that. And you can see I can print this on right away, but it will also go back to my transcript where if I ever lose my certificate, which I'm sure none of your learners ever do, they can access it right there. So let's go over to another type of course here. So here's another course. Here is a video. So I'm going to click view video. So I'm sure many of you have on-demand videos. With videos, oh, and my internet's going a little slow here. With videos, you can prevent fast forwarding, and you can also require people watch a minimum amount of time in a video, and that's all set per video. I'm not going to show it exclusively today, but we do work with, you can upload any file, SCORM type rather. You can upload documents like PDFs, Word, Excel, all the common types, MP3s, so like podcasts, for examples, and HTML as well. And then a couple other things we have are you can have discussions that are part of a course, and then you can have things like assignments as well. So the typical thing would be, submit a paper on XYZ, submit an Excel sheet, and it's actually graded by a teacher, and they can give passing grades and due dates, and all that good stuff. So let me move on here. A couple interesting things that have come up since COVID started is we do have something called a product microsite. What this is, it's basically blowing up a course into its own branded page. So I would say this doesn't replace a virtual conference platform. What this is really great for is if you had like a one or couple day in-person workshop that now you need to convert online and you want it to have its own special branding or messaging, or you have like maybe a one-day virtual conference, I'd say usually 15 sessions or less, this is a really great fit for that. So what this allows you to do, and you don't need our help for any of it, is you can upload your own header, you can upload your own footer, and then the color scheme here, like the green, the white, the hover over, and like blackish gray, that is all customizable. So you choose those colors. And so in this particular example, one of our clients was doing a short, I think it was a 5-session, one-day virtual conference. So they're showing the schedule, right? All the speakers. If I register, it would activate some more tabs here. So they would have, for example, the resources, and think of those as typically, you know, the course syllabus perhaps, or the PowerPoint that goes along with it, with some of them, maybe a sheet to fill out. And then here would be where I access the actual, you know, perhaps their live sessions, maybe they're on demand, and, you know, these surveys and certificates. So this is a really good use case for a lot of our clients, especially right now. This has gotten really popular for converting those, you know, couple day workshops or one day, you know, smaller virtual conferences without having to buy a full, you know, multiple, you know, tens of thousands of dollar platform for just an event. People can do it right out of our LMS, and this is all included. So for the last 4 or 5 minutes, before I stop for some questions, I will just quickly show the back end, just to show the simplicity of it. And let me click refresh here. Go back in as an admin. Okay, so we are on the back end of Elevate, LMS. This is the course or the webinar we were in earlier. So you can see there's the webinar, then the code, the quiz, the survey, and the certificate. So you'll see to change the order of anything, it's simply drag and drop, very simple. You'll notice we have something called component prerequisites here. So this is where if you want to make something required, i.e., you know, I have to do the survey before I get to my certificate in CE, for example, you can do that. And so, right, I've selected survey. And now everything you ever create in our system will be stored here forever in the library. So for example, I would imagine that, you know, you may reuse the same survey multiple times. So instead of having to recreate it every time, you just load it straight from the library. And then on top of that, every course, so an entire course, can be cloned. And now your question is, well, Sam, how did any of these get in here in the first place? So we call each one of these a component. So I hit create new component, and you choose what you want. So web content would be a webinar. We got files, SCORM, videos, quizzes, surveys. So I'll click video and hit next step. If you recall, I said you could prevent fast forwarding and require a minimum amount of time for a learner to watch. Obviously, those are optional. And then all you're doing is you're uploading the video. And we're going to hit update. And obviously, there's going to be a little bit of upload time as this goes through. And what I'm hoping you're getting out of this is the simplicity of both the front end, the user experience, and the back end. And on that note, for all clients, we provide unlimited admin support. That's by phone, email, and support ticket. And that is all included. That is not additional in our contracts. And we can really do that because, as you see, it's a pretty intuitive and simple system. And then for your end users, we provide email support as well for all technical issues. So obviously not about the content. And again, we can do that because our system is very intuitive. And again, we work with all associations, and I always hear, hey, our association, our members are really not tech savvy. That's who we work with. And we really don't get a lot of calls because our front end is so easy to use. So with that, I'll show a couple other interesting features, and then I will end with answering some questions that may have been unanswered. So we have some interesting default pages, and I know a lot of you are probably doing more webinars than you've ever done to get out messaging to replace those in person. So you can do things like automatic calendars. So our system automatically pulls all the live upcoming events. So for example, here's one of our clients, their September calendar. Again, this is all public facing. You'll see, right, they're showing, they do a lot of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. And if I hover over one, it'll show me what it's about. And if I click on one, right, it'll bring me right there to register or log in and then register. I can move over to see different things. So this is all included, and all you're doing is you're just activating it. So it's very simple and automatically done. And then for those of you who are, maybe already had your first LMS, you're getting a bit more into this, I do want to mention we've recently, last year, came out with a certification module, so for tracking certifications. And then on top of that, we have also added in quite a cool feature. So for those of you who've heard of Competency Training, our quizzing now allows for you to categorize questions by competency or category. So, you've got a quiz of 100 questions, and 20 of them are categorized by sales, 20 marketing, 20 leadership. An end user, a learner, will take it, and then they'll get a score. Overall, you got a 75%, but you got, a 90% on sales and 80% on marketing and only a 20% on leadership. And then based upon that, we now have a recommendation page that will recommend courses that competencies rather, that they were struggling with. So in that example, right, it would show them courses that they got the 20% on, then, the next one up and the next one up. And that is all included, that latter part, with our platform. And that's a brand new feature we just released. And we do release new features every 2 months. So with that, I think that's a pretty good high level overview. I know I've got a little bit of time left, but Reggie and Julie, are there any outstanding questions that I've not been able to get to?
Yeah, there were a few questions in the Q&A, and one that Julie wanted to answer live. The question was, does that framing as part of the website cost extra, or is it included even in the most basic of packages through your LMS? So Julie?
Yeah, I can actually handle that, Reggie. Thank you. And no, that's a wonderful question. And that is included in our base package. So excellent question.
Good. Next question was, is there an API available to the external additional CE module? We offer a bridge to our external partners to submit completions.
We do have an open API. It's sounding, what I'm hearing from that question, and we can, of course, you can email me and I'll show you my email at the end or add info, and we can talk about this offline. It sounds like people may be getting continuing education from somewhere else and you want that data back to your system. So that is something we can talk about either through Mass CSV or through an API. That one probably is gonna beget some more questions. So I'll show you my email at the very end and we can talk on that.
Got it. Where is this hosted? Is it public LMS as a service or private or co-lo facility? Great question. No, this is a software as a service product. So this is a shared hosting environment. Got it. Is the competency recommendation based only on the results of a quiz or based on maybe other courses the learner may have registered for? So the way it's set up is it's based on just upon the quiz. So we're kind of imagining this as the first time your members come to your LMS, you prompt them like this is the first thing they do. This kind of sets up their journey of where to focus versus kind of it's in the middle. We do have another recommendation engine that is based upon kind of what they're interested in. So that kind of serves that piece, but the competencies are recommended based upon their quizzing. And then there is the ability to retake it and get different competencies, right? So you may say, hey, this is a test you should retake every 3 months or whatever it may be. And then the recommendations change based upon that. Got it, my friend. And do your webinars have breakout groups? So our webinar platform, again, is really only used if you want us to manage the webinar. And that means that it's a full service that can range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 per webinar. Our webinar platform does not have breakout rooms. We typically would recommend Zoom meeting for something like that. Got it. And as an additional, we do now manage webinars via Zoom webinar. If you do want that service, we can use it via Zoom as well. Do it via Zoom as well. A similar question, and this is from me. Do you connect with any platforms that offer discussion groups, or do you have discussion groups built in?
That's a great question, Reggie. So we do have discussions that are part of the LMS. So this could be a discussion. This is more like a per course discussion. We also, I showed it earlier, but you can have discussions that are in a course. And so one thing I didn't mention is you could say, you know, hey, you just watched this video, now have a discussion, but you can actually make it so discussions are required. So you have to participate at least X amount of times before you can move on. Mm-hmm. We do also have a site-wide forum. So think of this as kind of a standard, you know, your old school listserv or really just a simple forum. We do have a user directory and one-on-one messaging, but then we also do have a deep integration with Higher Logic. So we can actually bring their discussion threads into our platform. And we've probably integrated with them more than anyone, probably close to about 100 times, I would say.
Got it, got it. Last question is, are any of the client or capabilities where, are there capabilities where chapters get their own channel or LMS?
Yeah, it sounds like kind of asking if there's multi-tenancy there. So that is something we can do. So you can create what we call a microsite where it is branded differently, and you can give access, what we call limited access in the back end to like say the head of that chapter, so they don't have full control over everything. So we do have some capabilities around that.
Got it. And from David Chillman, any conditional branching logic on the assessment engine?
So we do have conditional logic, but it is only, well, yes, well, sorry, assessments to me could be quizzes or surveys. We have it on surveys, that there is what we call skip logic. We do not have it on the quizzing.
Got it. Well, once again, I'm going to thank you, sir, for a very in-depth demo here. And I don't know what's going on, but we're ending exactly on time on all of these demos. I guess that's a good thing, huh?
You got it. Yeah, I'm a timely person. And thank you all so much for your time. And if you have any questions, please reach out. And I'm sorry, let me just share my screen one more second, just so I can show. It's info@CommPartners.